Hi, it's Rachel. I just made this super quick video about tips and tricks for interviews and my interviewing experience, and I hope you like it. I just got my first job as an RN, so there will be more on that coming later. I interviewed for 3 positions and I got offered all 3 positions, so it went pretty well for me. I am a new graduate. I graduated in August, took my NCLEX in mid-October, passed, and then started interviewing the week after I took my NCLEX. So how I got started in all this process was most of the hospitals in my area won't hire you until you've taken your NCLEX. I know that one would hire you and then help you pay to take your NCLEX. But I decided I just wanted to wait until I took my NCLEX and apply as an already licensed RN. So that's what I did. And I applied for lots of positions. Pretty much anything that I thought I would be interested in is what I applied for. And even stuff that wasn't my top choice, but I would do it. I went ahead and applied for those too, just in case. And I got called about 6 positions. And I scheduled interviews for all 6, but after I went to the first 3 and got offered all 3, one of which was my absolute top pick, I decided to respectfully cancel the other interviews because I didn't want to waste mine or anybody else's time if I already knew what one I was gonna take. Because I already knew pay information about all of them, and they pretty much, so 4 out of 6 were the exact same pay, because they're 2 different hospitals, but the same facility is in charge of them. And then the other 2 it was slightly different pay, but I happened to know what the pay was, and that didn't make a difference to me, so I just went ahead and accepted the offer that I wanted. Okay, so paper where I jotted down some notes, and then behind the paper is just copies of cover letters and resumes. And then after a copy of my resume and CPR information, I just have stroke information certification, a CERT certification, FEMA, all that kind of stuff. Any kind of certifications. And then at the end I have my letters saying that I was on the honor roll throughout nursing school. I put all those letters in there, and then I also put my senior research project, which was on suicide in nurses. So yeah, that's all kind of what I have in there, and I just put it in this binder. It just looks so much more professional for you to have this than a stack of papers or something. And no one really asked to see any of my certifications or anything, but I did let them know, I brought along all my certifications and stuff, and I feel like that went over really well. Let's see. Another thing I did to plan was I took some paper and got on my laptop and researched all the facilities that I was interviewing at and took notes. So I took notes on their values, their mission statement, how long they've been around, any important things they do for the community, all that kind of stuff. So that way during my interview, I was able to say, this is a teaching and research hospital, and that's really important to me. I really like that because I want to further my career and all that kind of stuff. So I feel like it was a good thing to have, and to do that research. And with that research, I took a skimpy version of my notes, short, sweet, and to the point, and slipped it down in my binder so I could review while I was waiting for my interview. I wouldn't recommend just spouting out information about the hospital, because when it comes down to it, it's about you. They already know about the hospital. So it was just nice for me, because if you're gonna say I really like this hospital because my values align with your values, that kind of stuff, if they ask you, okay, and what are those values? it looks really bad if you're like, you know. So that's good to know. And other things I did was I just practiced talking out loud and talking, like, before my interview, I would pull up practice interview questions like, tell me about yourself. That's a big one, and that's one I struggle with a lot, because when people say, tell me about yourself, I'm like, I don't know, I went to nursing school and that's been pretty much my life for the past 2 years. I don't really have a life. But it's really good to say it out loud beforehand and just practice like things that you would say. So for the tell me about yourself question, I tried to steer away from, well, I did this education and this and this and this, because that's in your resume. And that's not really what they're asking. They want to get a good sense of who you are as a person. So, you know, I said, like, I grew up in a small town in Florida, and God, I don't even know what I would say. I kind of just come up with it on the spot. I don't have a script or anything, because when I, in the past, have come up with a script for things to say, I can't say it without sounding super scripty. So I just try not to. So I just tell people about me. Like, even though I'm only 21 years old, I love to knit. And it's something I picked up from YouTube, and it just kind of stuck. And I really enjoy, my eye itches. I really enjoy knitting. And that's kind of one of those things I was like, huh? You know, because especially not 21-year-olds really enjoy knitting. So just little things like that about you, what you like to do in your free time, unless it's like binge drinking. Don't go in there and say, and in my free time, I like to hit up every bar in town. Yeah, that's not gonna go over well. But be honest. Another question that I got in every single interview is how, it was worded a little different each time, but it was like, how do you feel about work absences and calling out? You know, the main thing with that is be honest. I would love to be that person that's like, oh, I never call out, I just power through everything. But that's not true. That's not me. I do get sick occasionally, and when I get sick, and this is exactly what I tell employers, future potential employers, whatever, you know, I do get sick occasionally. Everyone does, especially like seasonal things, bugs that go around. You know, I wake up in the morning, and if I'm feeling sick, I have to sit down and look at which is going to hurt my team more, me coming to work sick, or me staying home, getting better, and being at work the next day. Because when it comes down to it, are you putting your coworkers and your patients at risk? That's the biggest thing for me, because the job I did get is going to be working with a lot of children. And I told them, these are somebody else's child who just had surgery. If I am contagious with something, I'm not gonna threaten the health of those already vulnerable children just to come to work, you know? And it's a delicate balance, and you can tell the employer that. Like, it's a delicate balance when you work in the medical field, because you don't want to get other people sick, but you do need to be there for your team. So it comes down to which is going to do more harm. And I feel like that's a good answer. Sorry, that was a long-winded way to explain that. I'm much better like on the spot talking to real people rather than talking to my camera. Another question that you get pretty much in every interview is, do you have any questions for us? And that's a big question, because you don't want to be like, no, and you don't even want to be like, no, I don't think so. Because if you can come up with something, at least one good question, like, that looks so much better. You look more interested, you look more, you know, investigative, because like I was genuinely interviewing for multiple positions, and I, in some of my interviews, knew in the back of my mind that I already got positions. So I was kind of interviewing them too to see which one I wanted to go to. And even if you don't have those options, you want to interview them back, because even without options, you really don't want to end up in a place where you're not going to be 100% happy. So ask them questions that come to mind about the unit, about the management style, about this, that, whatever. A couple example questions is, what's a typical work week look like for a nurse on this unit? And that'll give you a good idea of how the manager does scheduling and what exactly full-time means to them, because some hospitals it's 36 hours, some hospitals it's 48 hours, some hospitals it's alternating. It really depends. For me, it's flat 40 plus on-call time. And I have to be on call a certain amount each week and each month and stuff like that. So if you ask, what does a typical work week look like? That'll give you a really good idea of how all that is done. I have the hiccups right now, I'm so sorry. Another question that goes over really well with interviewers that I asked, basically what I said, do you have any questions for us? And then I would ask a couple like normal questions, and I would usually save this one for last and say, what did I say? I'm doing terrible at this whole video thing today. I would say, are there any resources that you would recommend to a new nurse to be successful in this position? So for the PACU, what I said was, because the PACU or recovery room is one of the places I interviewed, what I exactly said was, is there any resource you would recommend to a new nurse to be more successful in the recovery room? Or when I was interviewing for critical care, I said, are there any resources you would recommend to a new nurse to be successful in critical care? And even if it was like the IC, because I did my ICU and PCU interview at the same time, so I just said critical care, because my hospital considers both those critical care. So, yeah. And those are good questions to ask. The resource one, are there any resources, really kind of made everybody perk up every time I asked that question, because it showed that like I'm hungry to learn. I want to be good at what I do no matter where I end up, and they actually gave me really good information based on that question. So I know a couple books I want to get and stuff like that, and a couple resources to look into. So it's a really good question to ask for you and for them. It gives a good impression. The other thing about interviews is obviously what to wear. And at some point, I'm going to try to insert a picture of what I wore, because I wore the same thing to all of my interviews. So basically my outfit was black slacks, which are from Target, and I don't remember how much they were. I've had them for actually a couple years, but they weren't that expensive, but they were from Target. And then a green top that I got from Target, and I really liked my top because it was business casual, but also I can wear it like out and it's still really cute. And that was either $20 or $30 for that top. And then I had a blazer that I wore, and that was also from Target, but from a couple years ago, so I have no idea how much they are. I would be willing to guess like 30 or 40 for a blazer. And I just like Target because I don't want to spend a ton of money on interview clothes that I'm gonna wear once or twice and then never wear again, because I don't exactly wear black slacks. Oh, and then for shoes, it was Target again. I love Target. And it was a peep toe flat, and it actually ended up giving me such a bad blister that I bled onto the shoe, and it like went through the shoe, and they're suede, so I had to get rid of them after that. But I loved those shoes, and I wore those all the time, and like just in general, not just interviews, so that was really sad. But yeah, and then for my hair, I wore my hair natural, which this is my natural hair. And then I just tie back the top like this, because a lot of places recommend that you wear your hair up for nursing interviews, because a lot of places require you to have your hair up and it looks professional and all that kind of stuff. But that's just not me. I don't like wearing my hair up. I like wearing my hair like in a low pony, a braid, or just pulled back like I had it at work. You know, I don't like high tight ponytails or buns typically, because it makes my head hurt. So I don't want to give a false impression of who I am, and that'll also kind of let them know how I typically wear my hair. And if they are one of the people that are like, it's very strict, you have to have your hair up, then that'll kind of prompt them to tell me that. And then I'll know that in the back of my mind when I'm making decisions, hey, this facility is really strict about this. And I know that sounds like such a trivial thing, but to me it's a big deal. And everybody has their thing. Like, I don't care if I can have my nails done or not. They look like crap, don't look at them. I don't know why I just showed them. But there are some people that they want to have fake nails on all the time. To me, I love fake nails, but having them like this saves me money. So I could go either way with nails. That's not a deal breaker. But hair, I want to know if I'm allowed to wear it at least like in a loose pony. So, and that's another good thing you can ask. What are your policies on hair or nails or whatever? One thing I forgot to ask that I should have asked is scrubs. What are your policies on, like, what are your requirements for scrubs? Because I didn't ask, and the manager was wearing one color scrub top and a different color scrub bottom. So I have no idea what color I'm supposed to wear now that I had the job, and I still haven't asked, but I'm just gonna wait at this point. I feel like I've waited long enough. I'm just gonna wait until orientation, or before, well, when they give me my orientation date, then I'll ask, oh, by the way. But that's another good thing to ask if you're wondering or worried about that. Trying to think of anything else interview wise. Definitely eat something before you go, but not anything heavy, because I was at one of my interviews, I was there for longer than I had expected, and it was right around lunchtime, so I was pretty hungry. But luckily I had eaten a little bit of a snack beforehand, so I wasn't like, my stomach wasn't growling or anything like that. And then another thing that I actually saw this tip on YouTube, and it ended up being like a really good tip, and I really liked what the lady said. I can't remember what video it was. I know it was a woman, but anyways, the tip was show up 10 minutes early for your interview. Don't show up like 30 minutes early, because that's just gonna put pressure on them, and it kind of seems like you don't really have your time management under control and can be kind of pushy and aggressive. Whereas 10 minutes early, not only are you on time, you're a little bit early ahead of schedule, and you're ready to go. And it doesn't put as much pressure on them, because they were probably getting ready for your interview anyways. But whatever you do, even if you can't be early, don't show up late, period. If you think you're going to be late, you better call whoever you're meeting with and tell them, hey, I'm here and I can't find parking, or something, I'll be up in a few minutes. Something to tell them, like, you're not bad at time management, just a miscellaneous circumstance happened and slowed you down. My big thing is I get everywhere I go super early when it's like a new thing, or especially a place I've never been, or I'm on like a strict time constraint, like I can't be late. So I got to all of my interviews about 30 minutes early, which was good, because one of them, I had never been to that hospital before, and I had a hell of a time finding parking. So I'm so glad I got there early, because I ended up walking upstairs at like 5 till my appointment time, and that was kind of late to me. I was like, oh no, am I gonna make it? And if I hadn't found the parking spot I did, I probably would have been a few minutes late. So, you know, definitely leave time for stuff like that if you've never been somewhere, or if you have been there and you know parking's gonna be bad, that's a good idea. But yeah, once I got my job offer and I accepted my job offer, and I'm not doing a whole bunch of details about it now, but once I, get my hire date and start orientation and stuff like that, I'll probably go more into detail about stuff. I just don't like to jump the gun. I did do like my background check and drug test and health assessment, which is basically like a physical. I got my flu shot today. Got my temporary license for Alabama and all that kind of stuff. So I should be good to go sometime this week and start talking about a hire date, and then I will know from there. So yeah, I will keep y'all posted. Thank you for watching this video. If there's any other interview questions that I can help with, anything I didn't talk about, just let me know below. And then if there's anything else you want to see or hear about, talk to me, message me, email me, I don't care. I talk to people all over the United States and some in Canada about nursing and nursing school and all that kind of stuff now that I am an RN. So I have no problem talking to anybody about this kind of stuff if you have questions.